Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here and welcome back to Great Engineers. We're at the penultimate episode today, episode 5 of 6. Last week I did Maunsell, but this week as promised it's going to be Sir Henry Fowler. So I've got loads of locos to show you. Sit back, I hope you enjoy it, and yeah, let's get started. So first a little bit of info about Henry Fowler then. He was born on the 29th of July 1870 and he was probably best known for his position as the Chief Mechanical Engineer on the LMS. And in fact he was previously the Chief Mechanical Engineer on the Midland Railway too, of course before it became the LMS eventually. He served his apprenticeship under John Aspinall at the L&YR towards the end of the 1880s and served there until about 1900, at which point he moved to the Midland Railway. During his time as Chief Mechanical Engineer though, on the LMS, he produced several successful classes of locomotive, including the 2P, the Patriot and the 4MT. And today I'm going to be running those and more, of course. And yeah, finally then, Fowler died in Derby during October of 1938, and he was 68 years old. So that's a little bit of info about the man himself, but now it's time to get on with the first loco, and it's this one. And this one is the earliest loco I'm going to show you today. It's from 1924, and it's a very important locomotive really for the LMS. It's of course Fowler's 3F. An 060 Ginty, I suppose, is the other name for it. And she's going to be pulling some LMS milk, insulated milk vans, I'm sorry, and a little brake van on the back there. So, yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy seeing that run. I'm just going to get the points open now then, so that I can get her out of that siding. And, yeah, let's see what she's made of. So, yep, here she goes. And this is the 3F that came from the Hornby Night Mail train set, if anybody's interested. Very nice little loco. And these milk vans are a little bit temperamental over the points, but they seem to have done it quite nicely. Oh, but the brake van hasn't. Oh, but it's managed to re-rail itself. Perfect. Right, here's a little bit of info then about the 3F. So the Fowler 3F then, also known as the Ginty, was first built in 1924, as I said, and it was actually based on the earlier 2441 class of the Midland Railway. On the LMS though, they were considered the ultimate 060 tank engines, and a grand total of 422 were produced up until 1931. Unfortunately, the class began its withdrawal in 1940, and by 1967 the final 6 were withdrawn, and luckily 10 of them remain in preservation and can still be seen on heritage railways if you're lucky. Okay, I'm just going to stop her there then, and of course she'll wait there patiently until she runs again in just a moment, but yeah, there's a little close-up then of the LMS 3F number 7414, lovely little Hornby model there from the Night Mail train set. We'll be coming back to her in just a minute then, but first of all, here's the next loco. So here it is then, and this one's from the same year, 1924. It's another 060, but of course it's not a tank engine. This is sort of the next step up from the 3F, and this is the 4F. And this is my Hornby TTS Sound 1, number 44198, and she's got quite a nice, well, a reasonably long rake of mixed freight vans there, as you can see, all sorts of different things, and there's a little southern one snuck in there as well. But hopefully you'll enjoy watching her run, because she's got the sound, of course. So I'll just open those points, there we go, and I'll head over to the controls, I'll turn the sound on, and then straight away I'll get her running. But fingers crossed please, because if she derails on this siding, there's going to be trouble, because there's a lot of wagons. But yeah, let's give it a try anyway. Well, that did work very nicely actually, but I do really want her on this middle line, so what I'm going to do is just open these points, and hopefully she will come through those without any problems. So yeah, fingers crossed again, and here she comes right now. There we go. Right, I'll shut those again then, and here's some info about the Fowler 4F. Known as the Duck 60s, the 4F was introduced by Fowler also in 1924 and were intended for medium freight work. Once again, the design was based on one from the Midland Railway, this time the 3835 class from 1911. A huge number of them were built, 575 were constructed over 17 years, and withdrawal of the class occurred between 1959 and 1966, and 3 4Fs remain in preservation. Alright then, I'm going to slow her down and try and bring her to a stop nearby for you. Very expensive loco this one, but certainly in terms of performance you get what you pay for, because she really does run absolutely beautifully. And there's a little close-up of her then, just to finish, and she'll be running again in a second. But I've got to introduce the third loco of the day first, so yep, let's go and look at it. Alright, and now we're jumping forward a few years now to this beautiful locomotive, which is the Fowler 264T, or the Fowler 4P, or the Fowler 4MT. It's got quite a few different names. But yep, there it is, and this is running number 2311, and she's pulling some, well, technically I don't think these are blood and custard because they're more orange and blood, but yeah, I always say that, don't I? But yep, there she is anyway. A lovely Hornby loco there, quite a unique one because it's got a modern body on it, but it's an old chassis, and surprise surprise, the modern body, the modern chassis gave up the ghost a long time ago. But either way, let me grab those points then. There we go, and I'll try and give her a little gentle start out of those points, and I'll also give you some info about her too. So Fowler's 264 tank engine was first introduced in 1927, and they were intended for long distance passenger work around the London area, but they also pulled goods trains too, which gave them the classification of a 4MT rather than just a 4P. 125 were built over about 7 years, but sadly all were scrapped during the end of steam. In 2014 though, it was proposed that a new build project was to take place in order to recreate one of the class, and it's supposed to carry the running number 42424, which is a mouthful, and apparently that one was the last of the class to be scrapped, the last one in existence of course. So yep, if that happens, that would be very good indeed. Alright, it's just about time to get everything else running then, so let's get that 4F started once again. Here she goes. I'll try and do a whistle. There we go, very nice. And I'll head over and start the 3F as well then. Here she goes. And let's have a running session then, shall we? Beautiful engines, aren't they? Really, I mean, I don't know a lot about them technically, but you know, visually they were beautiful things, weren't they? Fowler's locos, they really were. Alright, then I'm going to pop these locos back into their sidings then. I'm going to do that off camera just because it takes quite a while. And then when I come back, which will be very soon, I will start off with the last 3 locos of the day. Some of the later Fowler designs. So yeah, don't go anywhere, I'll be back in just a second once these are all back where they started. Alright, let's give it a try. Okay, so I've put them all back to bed then, they're all in their sidings as you can see, and we're ready to move on to the next beautiful locomotive, and this one really is gorgeous. It's from the same year again as the 264, but it's a Royal Scot, a 460 as you can see, and this is my beautiful mainline one, and I think, you know, these were from the 80s, and they were well ahead of their time in terms of detail. She's a beautiful loco. The running number, if I just get close to see it, is 46100. And what a wonderful thing she is. And she's got some LMS coaches, just 4 of those. And I'll grab these points for you and we'll just get her out of there. And she's got a lot of points to cross because I'm going to get her right onto the very inner line. So yeah, let's hope for the best, shall we? Alright, here she goes then. It's the Royal Scot. Alright, middle line first then, nice and gently does it. I'm going to keep her nice and steady for this. Oops, hang on. The front bogey's popped off, I think. This loco's quite, you know, good at coming off at the points. But yeah, that's fine. Right now we've got to get her onto the very inner line then, so let's do that. Once these have gone through, she's just crawling. Right, stop her there, shut those points. Now let's move the camera then. Okay, last set of points for her then. That one, oops, I just pulled the track with me. Alright, I'll give her some more juice then and that should take her to where we want her. There we go, no trouble from the coaches though. Okay, shut those points and here's a little bit of info about the Royal Scot. So introduced in 1927 then, as I said, they were really considered the ultimate locomotive of the time. They had Welshurt's valve gear and Belpaire fireboxes which were built to the maximum size allowed by the loading gauge, and they could really pull any express in Britain, and they could easily match the performance of any Pacifics too. The class worked for the LMS for over 30 years doing express work, and during that time the class were rebuilt and a further 50 members of the class were built as well. Withdrawal began in the early 1960s and all members of the class were gone by 1966, and of 125 built, sadly none remain and all of them were scrapped. Okay, I'll let her have a little bit of a rest then. I'm just going to bring her up here and stop her somewhere where she's in the light. Stop her about there, I think. That'd be nice. And there's a little close-up of her then, just before we move on. She will be running again in just a moment, of course. But first is the next loco of the day. Next up then, from 1928, a very, very successful class of locomotive. This one is Fowler's 2P, and today I've chosen to run the BR Black one, and this one's running number is 40610. Lovely 2P locomotive, and she's just got two LMS coaches. I forget what they're called, but they're, I don't know, little mainline ones anyway, and hopefully she'll look lovely just pulling those two along. So I'll just grab those points for you and I'll get her started. Okay, and very gently then I'm going to shunt her onto that middle line where she's going to be running. Yeah, and she did that without a fuss. So here's a bit of info then about Fowler's 2P. So 1928 then was when the 2P first appeared, and as you can probably guess, it was intended for light passenger duties. Quite similar to the 3F and the 4F, the 2P was also based on a previous design from the Midland Railway, and this time it was in the form of Samuel Johnson's 483 class, which was also a 440 passenger locomotive. The class were produced between 1928 and 1932, during which time 138 were built. Sadly, withdrawal began in the early 1950s, and by 1962 all of them had been removed from service to be scrapped. And unfortunately none were saved, just like the Royal Scots, which is a real shame. But yeah, enjoy her for a bit longer then. Alright then, let's let her have another break, so just stop her right there, and I'll let you have a little close-up while she's there as well. Beautiful loco, she really is. Quite an old Hornby one, this one, about 10 years old I would guess, based on an old Dapol model I believe. But yeah, a very nice thing indeed, and Hornby certainly have put it in a gorgeous livery. And you can still get them now, loco driven, for the small sum not of £100. But yeah, there she is anyway, and I'll leave her there for a second while I show you the final loco of the day. I can't believe it, we're there already. But yeah, here it is, the final loco. And here it is. This one is the last of Fowler's designs that I'm going to look at today, and it is of course the beautiful Patriot class from 1930. Now this is a Bachmann model, as you can see, gorgeous LMS maroon, and she's got some blood and custard coaches, and as you can see these are more like blood and custard than those ones I showed you earlier. Now this loco's got a little quirk in that I think she's actually slightly faulty, the motor is, and when she starts from cold, when she's not been run for a few hours or a few weeks or whatever, you'll see a big puff of smoke come out from underneath the body, and while I'm sure it isn't terribly healthy for her, she does look quite realistic when she starts off. Now I've had her apart and serviced her and oiled her, and it does fix the problem, but really quite soon after that she relapses. But yeah, we'll see what happens then. Here's the point then, I'll just change that. And let's get her started. Keep an eye out for that smoke. Yes, well I don't know whether she did or not because I wasn't by the camera, but yeah, she did get run yesterday when I put her onto the line. I got her warmed up yesterday, so if she didn't do it, that'll be why. But yeah, if I ever get her running from cold again, I will show it to you. I'll try and film it. But yeah, here's a bit of info then about the Patriot class. And a lovely thing she is too, she really is. The first two Patriots were built in 1930 and were given 2 years for evaluation as a bit of a test run. At the end of this time it was clear that the class were well suited to the needs of the LMS, and a further 50 were produced between 1932 and 1934, making a total of 52 locos in the class. Interestingly, during World War II, unlike the other classes of locomotive on the LMS, some of the Patriots actually survived in LMS maroon, though after the war many were painted into the full 1946 livery. During the British Railways period, only 18 of the class were rebuilt into the rebuilt Patriot, or the 6P, but all were given the BR green paint job. The Patriots remained on the main line until the very end of steam, where the first of the class was taken in 1960. Sadly, non-originals survived and all of them were scrapped, but there is a new one under construction, or it might even be finished, I'm not too sure, but that would be very nice indeed. So yeah, that's a bit about the Patriots. Okay, well that's it, all 3 lines are filled, so let's get them all running again and have another running session, shall we? And of course you've seen all of my all the Fowler Locos I'm going to show today now, so yeah, you have to let me know which one was your favourite. I'll put a little poll up so that you can vote, but ooh, I don't know what, I'll have to think about that one, I'll let you know in a minute. Yeah, I can't explain why, but it's either between the Patriot or the 4F, interestingly enough. I just love that 4F. But yeah, the Patriot too is very nice. And the Royal Scot actually, they're all nice, aren't they? But yeah, let me know anyway which one you prefer. And there's something special about the Patriot, isn't there, certainly, in that BR green. BR green. No, I don't think I got that right. In the LMS maroon, of course, that's what I meant. Yep, there goes the 2P. Quite a lot faster than the Patriot, but it is quite a nippy thing, that. And the Royal Scot, of course, just plodding along there. Got one of those ring-filled motors in the Loco. It is Loco drive, but they're very high maintenance, are the mainline Locos, but not bad if you can get them right. And as you can see, she's quite happy. This is old Royal Scot. Yep, very nice. Alright then everybody, well they were the locomotives of Sir Henry Fowler, and that's just about it for today. I really hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. I love just to have an LMS running day once in a while, so yeah, that was brilliant. I hope you enjoyed it too. Yeah, if you did like it, please feel free to leave a like or even a comment on the video, because I do love to hear from you. And as always, you can check out the Facebook and Twitter pages too, and they're at facebook.com/samstrains or twitter.com/samstrains. It would be lovely to see you on there, but for now, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you this time next week for some more great engineers.